Good morning, everyone. It's Kathy at Nothing So Strange, and I think I have found 15 empty minutes in my day to do a walkthrough of the Sacred Web Tarot. I had this 15 minutes and I just opened my cabinet and I thought, what of all the ideas that I have been not having time to film do I want to do today? And my eyes fell on this and I ditched my other ideas and I thought, I don't see anybody using this at all. I think there's some reviews and walkthroughs of it out there, but I think it's an underappreciated gem. So I just wanted to show it today. This, I believe, came out about 2 years ago. It is The Sacred Web. Written by Janie Wee Brown and illustrated by James Brown IV. I believe that's a mother-son combo, and I believe the book says that they worked on it together when he was very ill. It is by Harper One, published by Harper One, and I think it's still available. It's little pricey, but when I first stumbled over it, I hadn't heard of it, and I saw it at a really fabulous price in a shop, so maybe you'll luck out too. In fact, I found it at such a fabulous price that I picked up one for myself and a couple for this shop and just sold them out pretty immediately. I wish I'd gotten more. It is, one of the neat things about it is that it is gender neutral, and it is utterly gender neutral and in a fascinating way. I got this and I got the Wild Unknown around the same time, and the Wild Unknown are an animal deck and whatnot, and getting them at the same time and walking through them for myself at the same moment side by side made me realize, okay, Wild Unknown is an animal deck, but it is so highly gendered, with the attributes assigned to the son and daughter, and it was a neat comparison. Anyway, here I am holding this up so you can read it yourself. Anyway, it's completely gender neutral. It's mostly an animal deck. If you are the kind of person that doesn't like it when suits and courts are renamed, this is not for you. And there's so much renaming that you can just get lost in it. And I like to think of it as, in a way, its own system. But we'll see this anyway. So, it does bring in, what do they say here? Stories of astrology, gemstones, yoga, sacred sound of mantra. So there's a lot going on here, but let's just get into it. This is a lovely, sturdy 2-point box, and very pretty. There's our renamed suits instead of the pentacles, cups, swords, and staffs. We have earth, air, fire, and water. There is a fabulous guidebook. Get that out of there. Really, really thick. How many pages? 249 pages. It's nice, solidly bound, and it has a lot of the information you are going to need for this. And nice box here, as above, so below. Fits the cards really well. Got a little tab in it, and right as I say, fits the cards really well. I, for the first time ever, jammed some cards in here. Seriously, I had this out and put it back together. I cannot believe this. Put it back together so I could show you how well it fits together, and look what I did. It's that kind of morning witch. It's that kind of wig. I don't know if you can. Oh dear, don't tell me I put things back sideways. Oh. Disaster girl. Okay, we just won't worry about that. Anyway, that's the nice box. Let us meet in the Sacred Center, which for the first time ever I got cards jammed in there, but I guess that's information. Have it long enough, that might happen to you too. That kind of week. Yeah, I'm sorry for the way my hands look here. I was moving a bed of hellebores last week, and apparently sometime in the last 2 years I've gotten allergic to hellebores. So up to my elbows, I am covered in a rather ugly allergic reaction. Are hellebores worth it? Well, always, but I'm not going to do that again. Anyway, yeah, so this came out, 2022, so I thought it was a little bit younger than that. The Sacred Wheel of Tarot speaks the law of love, and I'm going to show you a lot of this because it is such a different interpretation of the tarot. But you've got the origin story about how the mother and son created it together, and a good intro, and write-ups of the major and minors, and then a whole lot of the correspondences that are here. And I don't want to give you the impression that I can use this without heavily looking at the guidebook. Because I can't. There's just a lot going on here, but it's one that I pull out and read and think about a lot. So, yeah, here's the story about the son having the traumatic brain injury, and then drawing the first card that he drew, Release, which is the traditional death card. And then them working together to connect it is very sweet, and just an introduction to the tarot. And, you know, I love this. Tarot provides a space for you to sit with your life experiences and your questions and be present to whatever arises. The cards say, come with me. Let us explore together the sacred journey of being alive. It just feels so nice and welcoming. They talk about the different ways that they've departed from traditional tarot. Their names on the majors, the renamings. The Fool is turned into the Leaf. The High Priestess has become the Oracle. The Empress is Grace. The Emperor is Majesty. The Hierophant's the Teacher. So, I'm not showing you that. I'm sorry. So, Hangman, Reflection, Death with Release, Balance for Temperance. So it all feels very thoughtful. And there's different spreads. There's look at the 5 elements and discussion of the 5 elements, and then we have the major arcana and an explanation of what that is. So if people say I'm a beginner and I want to learn traditional tarot, would I give them this? No. But someone was shopping for a gift once and said, I have a student. There was a lot going on with the student and where they were with gender in their life, and they wanted a deck that respected that, and this was just the no-brainer to say this one. But let's look at the cards. Really, I want to focus in on the cards because they are so interesting, and especially with the majors, I'll read you the names and maybe a little bit of the words. So, and this is mostly an animal deck, pretty much an animal deck. So we start off, and the cardstock's really nice. It shuffles well, and you see I'm under the dreaded reflecting skylight, and I'm not getting horrible reflections. So it is very nice and matte, but nice and slidey. Okay, so we have, instead of the Fool, we have the Leap. Look at our little bunny there. And the Magician stays the Magician. I mean, I should point out, it might not have been obvious. You'll see the pictures in the guidebook are black and white, which for some of these are black and white, so it doesn't matter so much. There's the card backs. And then, instead of the High Priestess, we have the Oracle. Showing up, actually, I think that's showing up as more vibrant on my camera than it is. I think it's a little of a dustier blue in real life. And for each entry, like here's the High Priestess, the Oracle, and the meanings tend to be Rider-Waite-Smith, I think. Keeper of sacred mysteries, teach you to have reverence for all things. And then there's correspondences given. And a little, I guess I would call that an affirmation given. Okay. So the Empress, we have Grace. I love her. Or genderless, so I love Grace. And Majesty. So the Emperor. And the Teacher. Instead of the Hierophant. And the Lovers. Stays the Lovers. I believe the Chariot stays the Chariot. Yes. And this is through a journey. This says, you've journeyed through the ether, through the spiral flame, drunk from the sacred cup, and walked your path through your own spinning thoughts. You have looked into your mirrored heart so that you can begin to embrace all the parts of who you are. What do you seek? Where will you go next? How will you get there? Lay down your burdens and take refuge in stillness. Right now, it is enough to just be present to the moment, to whatever thoughts and emotions arise. Drink them in, let them gestate. The Chariot presents you with the opportunity for assessment and contemplation. Sit in this juncture of time and understand that you are never alone. You are a beautiful silken strand in the great weaving of the cosmos. So that is a difference from Rider-Waite-Smith, because I always think of the Chariot and Rider-Waite-Smith as a card of will, and this is a card of pausing for assessment. It's kind of neat. I love those dogs. And then we have Strength, and we have our Lion in Strength. That's Courage. And Insight. It's a little weird when I first saw this until I read the card and made sure that the elephant is diving into the healing water, they say. And then we have the Wheel, which is a traditional wheel. Well, not a traditional wheel, but I mean, there is a spider web there. It is wheel-shaped. And interestingly enough, the meaning of that wheel is purpose, not, fate or whatnot. Something about, hang on a second here. Sound carries strangely. Sound carries very strangely in this building. Anyway, Justice. I don't know why. That very abstract. We've got the animal skull, and then the wings, and then the tree roots. I don't know why that resonates so much with me for Justice, but it does. reflection. Love it. Release. Balance. The bind. I love that. I mean, I'm not sitting here like referring to the original name going through, but thinking about the devil as the bind, I think is really interesting. And then the tower as the burn. How cool is that? Revolution. Breathe into the fire. Let it burn. Do not be afraid of letting go. The camouflage you use to conceal your fears and your doubts, your need for approval, must be cast off. The star stays the star. There are a lot of spider webs in this one. I am not a spider fan, but none of them are so squicky that I can't use it. The moon. We still got the crustacean here. I love this meaning for the moon they have here. Surrender. The moon rises, an invitation to trust your inner compass. I like that. I've always rebelled against the Rider-Waite-Smith interpretation of the moon as something negative. And here's our lovely sun. And awakening. And the universe. And then an extra card, the sacred cosmic self. And the meaning of that is rejoice. You are the blessing, you are the sacred light. And now we get into the minors. And as I said, there's reworking of all those. This is really neat. There's an explanation of that, and for each one, and it does go in the order of earth, air, fire, water. For each one, there's an explanation of how they see the suit. So your pentacles have turned into earth, and the suit of earth is the gatekeeper of the soul. And then there's numbers on the cards and nice write-ups for each. So here's your Ace of Pentacles or your Ace of Earth. There's joy to be found in this human experience. Give thanks for the sweet spaces of your body. Recognize it's a sacred vessel. And then it goes on through like that. Okay, and let's just do a flip through here. Little ants. I really do like the art style here. It does remind me a little bit of the Wild Unknown. But it is its own thing. And then the courts have been renamed. And these are the sorts of names I find it easy to understand what they are. The pages are students. The knights are scouts. The queens have become sources. I love that. And the kings have become seers. I think those are so lovely. And I think that's pretty intuitive in keeping to the meaning of the quartz, actually. Okay. I'm going through this part faster because I was so much slower in the beginning than I meant to be. Okay, and next we have water. Water the healer. It's kind of interesting because, you know, sometimes with water you would expect great gushing founts of water, and you're not getting that here. You're getting these water lilies, and you're getting cups, sometimes water. Oh, got a little fish there. I guess what I want to say is they are never, okay, here's those cards that fell out, never super obvious with their symbolism. But it really works, I think. Sometimes they feel pippish. But not that often. I love that. Let's look at that one. There's such joy in that. To me. You are a blessing from spirit, exquisitely articulated like water sparkling on the ocean's surface. The card is blessing. And so this is just a relentlessly positive deck. Here again, our student, our scout. The water going through. Our source and our seer. I love it even when there's like a face or a body. It is genderless, and they do that so well. Okay, and next we have our wands turned into fire. I do love their animal choices. Good heavens. Can y'all hear my husband? I hope you can't hear his whole private phone conversation that he's bellowing out up there. Look at this guy. And again, the student, the scout, the source, and the seer. Look how cool that is. That looks a little bit like the Eye of Sauron. And then finally we have air. Our swords. Oh, what do they say about air? Interesting. Air is the caretaker. The caretaker of sacred truth. So, I love that. Again, the abstract nature of some of these is just fascinating to me. Sometimes you get straight up animal. Oh, look at the kitty. Look at the two colored eyes. So yeah, even without the names on each card, I think, you can always find your feather here for air. And I think feather's an obvious symbol for air. So I do think it's not as confusing as some of these complete renamings are. Scout of air. Look at that. Like sand's going through an hourglass. Source and seer. So, thanks for watching. I should be the end of the book here. I do think it's a really neat deck, and I do wonder why I don't see it more. Especially given the thoughtfulness of it, and the gender neutrality and the positivity, and the way that, even if you don't adopt all these meanings, it just does add this new layer. New layer to understanding the meanings of all the cards. So, if you're still with me, thank you for watching my little walkthrough of the Sacred Web Tarot. And I hope you enjoyed this deck as much as I do. Have a lovely day. Bye-bye.